So poor Leigh Wood gets knocked out by Mauricio Lara. He suffered the fate that most people expected him to. And I had to come inside to finish recording the rest of this video because somebody turned the music up outside. Don't want to get hit with a copyright. So anyway, Wood gets knocked out by Lara in the 7th, but not before giving Lara a boxing lesson, pretty much. I mean, Lara had a good second round where he wobbled Leigh Wood and he managed to do some damage. There was a clash of heads which caused the cut, and I think that kind of rattled Leigh Wood a little bit temporarily. But he came out for the next round, regained his composure, and he really got into his stride in the 4th, 5th, and 6th. He was keeping Lara at bay behind his jab. He was keeping Lara honest with his power. He was able to land not only his right hand, but also a number of left hooks throughout the fight and body shots. He really was able to shut down a lot of Mauricio Lara's offense in a way that Josh Warrington certainly couldn't. Warrington, not being as big or strong as Leigh Wood, had Lara all over him like white on rice. Whereas Leigh Wood was able to keep Lara off for most of the fight. Don't get it twisted, Lara still had bits of success here and there. Lara really is a power puncher in the truest sense of the word, not just because he has the ability to punch hard, but he throws every shot hard pretty much. Even his jab, if you watch Mauricio Lara's jab, he leaps into it. So he even throws his jab like a power punch. Lara is absolutely committed to doing damage with every shot that he throws. So yeah, he was having little pockets of some success here and there, but for the most part, Leigh Wood was keeping him on the end of the jab. Leigh Wood being the bigger, taller guy with the longer arms, keeping him on the end of a jab. There was always the threat of Leigh Wood landing that straight right hand or the left hook. He actually appeared to be discouraging Lara through the middle rounds of the fight. And there were moments where you felt as though if Leigh Wood steps on the gas here, he can get Mauricio Lara out. He can stop him. But he stayed within his construct. He was obviously wary of how hard Mauricio Lara could hit. The 7th round comes and Leigh Wood makes the cardinal sin of hooking with a hooker. It's the old adage in boxing. You can't hook with a hooker, but you can jab with a jabber. Lara, of course, was jabbing with the jabber, but Wood decided to hook with the hooker. You don't do that. Mauricio Lara threw a hook at the same time as Leigh Wood. So that's another thing about Mauricio Lara, is that he's an explosive fighter. Leigh Wood, although he hits hard, he doesn't have the same velocity on his shots. And again, he's a taller guy, longer arms. So when you're exchanging hooks, that's a very dangerous situation to be in if you're the bigger, taller guy that isn't as fast. Just ask Anthony Joshua. Lara is one of these guys who throws wide looping hooks a lot of the time. They're not always wide looping hooks, but they very often are. Now, from a textbook perspective, you're supposed to throw your hooks short and compact. But one of the things that Lara does, and many other Latino fighters do the same thing with these wide hooks. He'll throw a lot of wide left hooks to the body. He's conditioning you. Whenever your peripheral vision senses a shot is coming low, you're expecting a left hook to the body. Leigh Wood has seen already 6 rounds or 6 and a bit rounds of these low shots, and they're coming up and usually landing on his body. And he's going to throw his left hook to the head where he thinks Lara's only going to land in the body. But oh no, the trajectory of the shot is upwards. And he turns it from what looks like a shot that's going to land in your body to a headshot. Most famously, Marcus Maidana did that to score his first knockdown of Adrian Broner in their fight back in the day. And similar thing happened here. He got clipped with a big left hand from Lara, which landed bang on the chin. Couldn't have hit him cleaner. Down he went heavy. I'm not sure if his head hit the canvas, but it nearly did. It certainly jerked back violently when he landed. And he got to his feet. He beat the count, but he was in a bad way. The referee looked like he was touch and go in terms of whether he was going to allow Wood to continue. But ultimately, Ben Davison, Leigh Wood's trainer, took the decision out of the referee's hands. And this was with about, 10 seconds to go in the round? Took the decision out of the referee's hands, threw in the towel. Leigh Wood was absolutely devastated. He immediately turned to his trainer, Ben Davison, and said, "No, how could you do this? I was winning the fight." And of course, this is going to be a very, very contentious incident indeed. Will Leigh Wood even leave Ben Davison over this? Because you look at Leigh Wood,
he has come off the canvas to win fights before. When he was dropped in the first round against Michael Conlan, it was arguably just as heavy a knockdown. Conlan isn't as big a puncher as Lara, but Leigh Wood went down very heavy in that first round. And obviously Wood got off the canvas to win. So Wood's going to be thinking, hang on, Ben, you've seen me. We've been here before together with me hitting the deck, getting up, coming back to win. But Ben Davison obviously saw whatever he saw. Maybe he didn't like the look of Leigh Wood's legs. To be fair to Ben Davison, I don't think he'd seen Leigh Wood's eyes, because that's one thing you want to see in a fight. You want to look in his eyes and see if his eyes are glazed over. Whereas, at least from memory, Leigh Wood's back was turned to Ben Davison. The referee could see Leigh Wood's eyes, but Ben Davison perhaps couldn't. If he had been able to see Leigh Wood's eyes, would he have made a different decision? Would he have, refrained from throwing in the towel or not? I guess we'll never know. Maybe Ben Davison has the answers if somebody wants to ask him. But yeah, this is going to be a very, very bitter pill for Leigh Wood to swallow, given the fact that he was well ahead, I have to imagine, on the cards. Most people watching had him ahead. He was boxing really well. He was really boxing Lara's head off. But with a puncher like this, who's this dynamic and explosive, you can't rest at any time. I know it's a cliche, but this is why it's a cliche, because it's true. You can't rest at any time with a guy like this. And he paid for it dearly. If Leigh Wood had been allowed to continue, what would have happened in those 10 seconds? Would Lara have been able to get another knockdown? Possibly. If Wood had survived to the bell, would he have been able to recover sufficiently to survive the 8th? These are all the questions that this decision raises, and all the questions that the fans were left with. Of course, the fans were very upset by Ben Davison's decision. Ben Davison, of course, has come under a lot of criticism from fans who call him boxer-sized Ben. And, sometimes I have a bit of fun because of his Barnett, call him Vidal Sassoon and, head and shoulders and all that. But I've actually come to the defense of Ben Davison many times over the years with regards to his ability as a trainer. And Leigh Wood was really exhibit A when I would defend Ben Davison as a trainer, because Leigh Wood has come on leaps and bounds under Ben Davison. And truth be told, up until the moment he got knocked out, he was doing very, very well. Right? But that one decision from Davison, I'm sure, is going to fire up his critics again. And they're going to say, see, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's just a boxer-sized trainer. He's not a real trainer. But you can't erase everything Leigh Wood was doing very well prior to that one mistake. Trainers aren't always going to make the right call. Even some of the best trainers of all time have done things that have upset their fighters. So, I don't really see this as a reason to throw the baby out with the bathwater and say that Ben Davison doesn't know what he's doing and he's rubbish and this, that, and the other. In any event, after the fight, in a post-fight interview, Ade on DAZN asked Eddie Hearn if there's a rematch clause in the contract. And of course there is, because this was a voluntary defense for Leigh Wood going up against a very, very dangerous puncher. So it would be unusual, to be honest with you, in a situation like this if there wasn't a rematch clause in a contract. You guys know that one of my big bugbears is having rematch clauses for mandatory fights, because normally there's no rematch clause in a contract for a mandatory defense. So you have to alter the contract. Basically, both parties have to agree to alter the contract to insert a rematch clause in a standard mandatory contract. So that is my bugbear. But when it comes to voluntary defenses, it's not ideal, but I understand it. Let's see what happens here. Leigh Wood said he's up for the rematch. Mauricio Lara was straight over to the side of the ring after he won, screaming at Josh Warrington. He apparently spat at him and a melee broke out, a little bit of handbags. Josh Warrington is acting like he'll take that trilogy fight. Maybe he will, but I have to figure he's in for the same treatment as Leigh Wood. And on the evidence of their last 2 fights, Josh Warrington doesn't have the size or strength or power of a Leigh Wood to be able to control Lara for long stretches the way that we saw Wood do. He's going to be in Lara's wheelhouse. And I got Lara being a firm favorite in that fight. To be fair, I had Lara being a firm favorite in this fight as well. And I was surprised by how well Leigh Wood did and how difficult he made it for Lara to get to him. I didn't think he'd be that effective at keeping Lara at bay. But, ultimately Lara did get through that explosive punching power and it was good night. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about the performance, about Ben Davison's decision, about Lara. Obviously, you got to congratulate Lara. He stuck in there. He was looking disheartened to me by about the 6th, 7th round, but he managed to pull it off. So congratulations to him. He's a world champion. But yeah, let me know what you thought about Lara's performance, Wood's performance, the rematch. Do you think it's going to go the same? Do you think that Leigh Wood can win this time? Do you think Lara's going to take a lot of confidence? I mean, he was already confident going in, but do you think he'll take more chances now in a rematch, knowing that he can do that with one shot to Leigh Wood? And yeah, just let me know what you think about Leigh Wood's performance and what he can do in a rematch. And of course, the major point of contention, Ben Davison's decision. Leave your comments below.
Are you sick and tired of the mainstream mindset? Does the dogmatic conformity and pathological ignorance have you tearing your hair out in frustration? Then don't be alone. Come and join our brotherhood on Patreon. We stand as a beacon of reason against an army of insanity. You'll gain access to my weekly topical podcast where we take more deep dives than Jacques Cousteau on an endless variety of subjects. There's also videos, interviews, live Q&As, as well as a vast back catalogue of previous episodes, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen via the Patreon app or download in high-quality MP3. Connect with myself and hundreds of other members in our Element chat group. There's no contract, no commitment, you can cancel at any time, and it's cheaper than a Mickey D's McMuffin. Just head to my Patreon page via the link below this video and select the tier called the Brotherhood of Reason. I'll see you over there.